For me, it was really interesting to take Velma for a ride in this thing for the first time. When was the last time you rode in this thing, do you think?
I don't have no idea.
Probably 15 or more years at least.
Yes.
This car has a 390 Ford FE big block in it, has a 4-speed top loader transmission, and actually came from the factory with a bench seat, which is not something you would normally see in these cars. The car was owned by my great uncle Richard. In 2007, he actually passed, and I was told that this car would come into my possession when I turned 16. I would have been about 13 years old at that point. You know, he really enjoyed this car. It was something that he bought brand new in 1964. He actually traded in a 1963 Galaxie that looked exactly like this with the red, white top. Traded in on that to get this car. Knowing him and the time that I got to be around him, Richard really liked to have the best of the best. This car at that point was kind of the best of the best. Because of that, he took very good care of it. My great aunt, her name is Velma Freeman. Richard and Velma never actually had any kids, and so my dad was basically at their house or right there at their house all the time. As time went on, they kind of looked to him as a son, and so whenever I got a little older, and he apparently saw something in me that he thought that I needed to have this car. You know, they read the will today, and your Uncle Richard, he left you something. I said, okay. Dad informed me shortly after that I had actually gotten this 64 Galaxie. I appreciated it and I was proud of it, but it took me a few years to really understand the magnitude of a gift like this. And then it took another handful of years to get to the point where I'd saved up enough money to really kind of dig it out and do everything that we needed to do to get it going again. My great aunt that was married to Richard, she's 82 years old. They got married 2 years after this car was purchased. So the whole time that they were dating and the whole time that they were married, this car was in the picture. I said, man, I want to make sure that someday she can go for another ride in this car. She was there when we started it the first time, and she was so excited. The exhaust on it was completely rotted off. It sounded awful to me. You know, I'm sitting here going, man, this exhaust is terrible. And the first thing she said was, man, that sounds good, doesn't it? So to get it back running and get it back to where we could take her for a ride and do what we want to with it, it was pretty important to us. Now, this is going to be worth every penny that we're going to put into this thing to get it back going. So when I was actually looking to find a distributor to put into this car that had the HEI distributor that would work with this Ford big block, the first place that I found was Southwest Performance Parts. The thing that hit me first was the website. It was really easy to navigate. I mean, the parts are really high quality. We were able to just do exactly what it said in the instructions, drop it in place, and so far that's went super smoothly. And then the other side of that, it was affordable. That snowballed into finding all these other parts that are going to help bring this car up into a modern standard. For me, it was really interesting to take Velma for a ride in this thing for the first time. When we backed this car out of the garage, she couldn't get the smile off her face when she saw it. It was clean. She commented on how shiny it was. So I like to think that when we backed it out of that garage, it was like when Richard brought it home for the first time. What do you think? Richard's been gone for a lot of years now, and I know that he thought enough of me to leave me this car, and I really appreciated it. But over those years, me and Velma have gotten a lot closer than we ever were before then. And so at that moment, I was completely thinking about her. When was the last time you rode in this thing, do you think?
I don't have no idea.
Probably 15 or more years at least.
Yes.
I like to imagine that she was picturing it when Richard brought it home the first time, right? That she was thinking about this. While the wheels and tires are a little different, it's exactly how it was the day that she saw it for the first time. So what year did you and Richard start dating? In 59, okay. So you've known this car its whole life then. And for 15 or 18 years or so, it's sat in that garage completely isolated from the world, just being there, just existing. But she wasn't able to drive it. She hasn't, it hasn't run, all of these different things. So for her to be excited and to see it and to be able to ride in it, that's what it's all about. You think Richard would be pretty happy about it?
Oh, yes.
I basically grew up in a car community. Pretty much everyone around here, them or their dad or their uncle or their granddad or someone was involved in cars somehow. And here, racing was a big part of that, and it really brought a lot of people together. And to see a car like this go down the road is going to excite them because it's something that they saw as a kid as they were going in the grandstands, and it's going to have an effect on them as far as getting people together. That's really the underlying point of all of this, right? You can love cars and you can work on cars and you can do all this different stuff, but if you don't go and you see other people's cars or talk to them about what you did, go to a race on a Sunday, if you don't do that, then what's the point? The fact that Southwest Performance is helping us to build this car so that we can try and help bring the community together is really awesome. And so far the parts have been really helpful. Like I said, bring this car up into a modern standard and get us to where we can take this out, show it off, and hopefully get people excited. Maybe they've got a 64 Galaxie tucked away in a garage that they can pull out and get going again.